Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Cardiff City World. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the start of the week. It's Monday morning. I'm about to head to the radio station. But today, we're going to have a real look at January transfer windows. It's the 1st of December, and I wanted to look at, do January transfers actually work? And it's a big debate, right? Because as soon as December hits, it's all about the January transfer window and the Christmas period, and it's a really fun, exciting time for football fans. But do they help? Do they actually work? Do they help teams stay up? Do they help them get promoted? Do they help them get from playoffs to automatics or from mid-table to playoffs? If you don't strengthen, can it cost you? It's a really interesting one because it's a really difficult time to buy. Players are overpriced, it's overinflated. And of course, the big question for Cardiff is, if we want promotion back to the Championship at first attempt under Brian Barry Murphy, do we need to sign players in January? Or do you rely on the quality and the togetherness of this young squad? Would new signings disrupt the chemistry, the togetherness, the identity of this young squad? It's a really interesting one. Let's dig into it. So why is January different? Well, if you start with the basics, January is chaotic. The summer window is calm and is long and is considered structured. Teams are very prepared for it. January is emotional. It is reactive. It's sometimes desperate. A player gets injured, panic. A manager gets sacked, panic. 3 games lost on a bounce, panic. Prices inflate. Agents push deals. The clubs often sign players just to do something and keep the fans happy. But when January works, I think it can work massively well. The right player can completely transform a season. It can kick you on, especially in the EFL, where momentum is everything. So let's have a look back into Cardiff's own January history, because I think actually historically we've been pretty smart in January. When you look back, and I had a look at some of these, we brought in some transfers that genuinely transformed the club. All signings in this section I've kind of tried to verify at a couple of different places just to make sure there's no mistakes. But Peter Whittingham, the obvious one of the greatest Cardiff City players, one of the greatest EFL players of all time, arrived in January, came in from Villa, and within weeks we had control, goals, set pieces, composure, and an effortless left foot. This wasn't just a decent signing for that season. This shaped the next decade of Cardiff City, a January move that became the foundation of our football club. Stephen McPhail, another one who came in January, probably doesn't get the wider recognition that he deserves in many ways. He arrived in January and instantly changed that midfield. He brought a calmness. He brought culture. He set standards off the pitch. He wasn't showy. He wasn't like that flair player, but he was super intelligent. And he became that metronome of a team that reached Wembley, that beat Premier League opposition on the way, and developed a clear identity under Dave Jones. And then, it's another January signing that stabilised the club for years to come. So it can be done. But one maybe that's also underrated, but also maybe didn't have the long-term effect, is Lee Peltier. Massively underrated player. Cardiff were an absolute mess when he came in. The squad was all over the place. There was attitude problems, no stability. Peltier came in, gave some leadership, some standards, and some consistency. He became a proper club man, reliable, tough, always gave you a 7 or 8 out of 10. The exact sort of profile, I guess, that you want coming in January. But you've got to bring in the right type of player. Kenneth Zaha, a winter arrival, changed the pitch of that second half of that season. He was unplayable. I think he was 17, 18 under Warnock. Zaha was a huge part of that platform being built, ready for promotion. January signing, and he just was a classic example of how a January edition can really kick you on. And then some others. We had Armand Traore on a January loan, 2018. It's a short-term fix that worked, but Traore, he gave us a bit of balance and experience, quality in that period where we needed depth. He didn't disrupt anything. Lights have gone off. He slotted in, did his job, continued to push towards promotion. And ultimately, that's what you're looking for. Let's try and get this light on. There you go. Apologies about that. But then let's look at some of the warning signs when a January signing can go wrong in certain elements. Gary Medine came in January, I think it was 2018. A good player, but he was never the right signing for Cardiff. Warnock said himself later that the signing had caused a bit of disruption because the squad was flying. He was a big money signing and it kind of changed the dynamic. And that can be a lesson. January can break rhythm just as easily as it can boost it. The EFL side of things, so away from Cardiff, when January works, it works well. You know, Brentford have often been very precise with their January additions. One, maybe two players, very specific. Don't need to panic, just add the right quality in the right position and it can help you get a promotion to the Premier League. Fulham the same. They brought in some real targeted midfield upgrades, got themselves promoted. It gave them that stability to kick on. Sunderland brought in Diallo from Man United. Now this wasn't a January signing, but the principle stands is that one classy, attacking, high-impact player can completely transform your season. And then a couple which maybe didn't work as well. Leeds got a January loan of Jack Clark. Disrupted nothing, but didn't really kick on. QPR have done it multiple times over the winter, spending sprees, and then created like bloated squads, overrated players or finished players who've had a detrimental effect. Stoke have repeatedly built squads in January, never found the cohesion. That pattern is consistent. January works when the club sign one or two perfect players for what they need with the right profile, the right attitude, etc. But if a January signings fail when you try to fix everything in a month, you cannot do it. So when you look at Cardiff today, should BBM buy? Well, we have one of the youngest squads in the entire EFL. Brian Barry Murphy is building a structure based on patterns of play, coaching detail, chemistry, automatic rotations, rhythm within the side. If he brings in the wrong type of player in January, that could break the rhythm. It can break the togetherness and it does not help the squad. But this squad does need a bit of help, I think, in the right areas. So where could we look for that bit of help? I think a left back is the obvious one. Joel Bagan just cannot play every minute of every game. And if he gets injured, we are in a bit of stick. We're looking at Capaccio moving to the left, NG moving to the left. And I think both can do it. Capaccio in particular can do it, but it's not their preferred position. And they've shown what they can do this season when they play in their preferred position. I think a monster physical midfielder would be good. Now, of course, I mentioned Darko Gyabi in the summer. Hasn't had the best of seasons, or certainly isn't in the best of recent form. But you never know, at the right time, right fit, right place, that could become a good option. If Ryan Wintle were to pick up an injury, do we have a real like-for-like number 6 who can do the job as effectively as him? I'm not sure we do. This is the one for me, though. A winger who's out-and-out direct, a proper 1v1 player that changes tight games. Just direct, skillful, goals, contributions, everything. And this is the one I would really go with data, and I would try and pick up a bargain. Because we do have wingers, but I think we need someone with a very specific skill set. Very direct, very quick, and a lot of goal contributions. Look, it's not a rebuild. We're already resetting the season. We've already started our rebuild, but it's not a shopping spree. One or two really smart additions could be the difference from finishing 4th to finishing top. And I think that's important. These young players, by definition, are going to be inconsistent at different times. So let's give them the right support. Of course, the man who is going to have the final say is Brian Barry Murphy. Now, here's my honest view. Yes, January transfers can work. Cardiff City's own history proves it. Whittingham, McPhail, Peltier, Zahora, impact, leadership, goals, identity. But January only works when you're disciplined, you've done the research, and when you go and get exactly what you need. There's no veering off to a different path. Be very specific. Be very focused on what you need, why you need it, and what type of player profile you need. Don't force it. Don't panic. For Cardiff City this season, if we want promotion at this first attempt, we probably do need a couple of players in January. Probably need to move a couple out on loan or whatever. But we need the right players, the right ages, the right personalities, the right profiles. No gambles. No disruptors. Because history shows it time and time again. Get January right and it can change everything. Get January wrong and it can ruin your season. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow. The boys Cardiff City phone in tonight. Please check that out. Member show maybe on Wednesday night instead of Monday night, but there is a reason. I'm having a fun day Wednesday, let's say that. But thank you so much, as always. Keep the faith. Let me know in the comments, what do you think about January? Do we definitely need players? Do we need just a couple? Like, I believe that we need to be very specific about what we go for, and we don't want to bring in a load. I think one or two will be fine. Who would you move out? I think Mafiko, Naikahawa, Giles could potentially go on loan. Although Mafiko is a weird one because I think he might play a role in the second half of the season. So perhaps you keep him. But it'll be interesting because these boys need to play football if they're going to kick on and realise their potential and be an asset for Cardiff City over the next couple of seasons. Let me know in the comments. I'm really interested in what you guys say. Thank you so much as always. Keep your faith and I'll see you in a bit. Nice one.